And what's up, Britta? Hey, I was gonna combine your hitting and your base running or sprinting video, but I was looking at the hitting video. I was like, oh, maybe you might benefit from checking out Jose Bautista. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna talk about your swing and see what's going on. And I can tell you that last Saturday, I know it wasn't the best session, but it was one of the earlier sessions this year where you've actually hit quite a bit. But I have some good news that it wasn't just you. It was a lot of it. There's a lot of different loading systems going on in your swing. So we'll have to see if we can clean that up next time that we hit. So here's what's going on. I have one of your swings here that we had put a good swing on here. So what I'm seeing, and I know we were working on tilting the shoulders, a couple different things, but that taps into its own internal loading mechanism, call it the catapult loading system. But what you're doing is kind of old school stuff where you're turning the hips in and then turning the shoulder. That's why we were having a hard time with just tilting the shoulder down, because your normal swing, you actually bring that shoulder in there. You see that? So you're bringing your hip and your shoulder, you're kind of bringing everything back like a wave, and almost getting that back knee over that back foot. Actually, that's not the best line there. Erase that. So this knee is tracking over the foot. Now, in basketball, when you got somebody dribbling at you and you had your knee over this foot and they were going to go to your left or my right, they were going to go this way, would you be able to gain on them, or at least block them from getting to the net? Or would it be better if you had your knee on the inside of your back knee on the inside of your big toe? Would probably have a better shot at pushing off this leg and going to get him. So we're not in a very athletic position to start. We call this a flamingo leg. We're pushing back all of our weight over that back leg, and it's a combination of things. You're trying to use your body's momentum to go back, and then you're shifting forward. But what I would like to see, remember, I'm not touching your down and through stuff. What I would like to see is creating a little bit of forward momentum, kind of what we did a while back, and I know you felt the difference, where we don't so much go back, but we just pick the foot up and let it fall forward. Now, with the wide as stance as you do, we can still do it without really gaining much ground with the front foot, but get that back foot, like we talked about, to unhinge and to pull off the ground just like that. So we did that pretty good. But I think this movement back, where we're shifting all of our weight back, and then trying to go forward and rotating everything inside. We're taking the hip in, we're taking the knee in, we're taking the shoulder in. I think it's a little bit too much, and we can do a lot more with less, is what my point is. So just getting to where we're not turning in so much. I'm going to show you Jose Bautista in a minute, but more of you're just tilting that shoulder angle down towards the pitcher, and we can just work on that and try that. But what's happening is we're causing a little bit too much of a rotational swing, where it's almost around you versus out into the outfield, and we're cutting our swing off at the end. So we're getting to it okay, but right here looks okay, but then we're kind of rolling over and then cutting ourselves off. Like I said, this is an early season swing, so I don't expect you to be in top form, but just giving you some things to look at. Now let's look at Jose Bautista. This was a home run that he hit to left center field. Now he's got a huge leg kick. I don't want you to feel like you got to do a leg kick, but he's got a huge leg kick, almost looks like a pitcher. But what you see is his forward momentum. You see him falling forward, his hips falling forward. Okay, see that? And then, I mean, he's not really turning his hip in, and I'll show you from the front. I'll show you the front view too, or the pitcher's view. But what you'll see is he's already opened up those hips. I mean, he's pretty square with them. He's just taking that leg from in. But what you see is this shoulder angle from back here is down this way versus the hip angle, which is this way. You see that? You see his belt buckle? Dude looks like a pitcher. So you'll see him unwind that as you see the front shoulder start to pop up out of that line, out of that downward line, and that'll help him get on that plane a little better. Okay, and look at that. I mean, he's out in front, and this is typical Jose Bautista. He's out in front quite a bit because of that leg kick. It kind of throws him off. I mean, he leaves the ground for a while, but still, he murders the ball. Okay, and this isn't a big guy. He's 6 foot, 185 pounds. He's not a big dude. He's about probably about the same as you, brother. That's probably where you're at right now. But you see this forward momentum action where he doesn't drift from there. He drifts a little bit, and he gets to the top of that. Then he just lets everything kind of fall forward. There's really no muscle involved in this swing. He's just allowing gravity and the opposite force of gravity when he pushes down on the ground to push back, and allowing most of nature to do the work. And then the compression, or this downward shoulder angle and the upward hip angle here. Now, you're probably not going to get an upward hip angle unless you do a big leg kick like this, but we can still do a downward shoulder angle, just the downward shoulder angle. Remember, if you can't see the ball of the pitcher with your front eye, your left eye, after you close it, or you can't see with your back eye when you close your front eye, hey, you're turning in too much. So I think that's what's really happening with our swing. Let's check him out from the front. Let's see, let's get this slow motion one. Where is it? Replay. There we go. Okay, watch his hip. He doesn't really turn it in too much. He just lifts his leg and balances on that back foot, almost Japanese style. But you can see the shoulder angle coming down. You see that? So the shoulder angle coming down, and even the hip, you can see the belt kind of is doing this. And then as he comes down, you can see, I was telling you about pulling the punch, you can see this elbow peeking out back here where you couldn't see it before. See, it's like right here when he's at the top, and then you see that elbow peek out. Now, I don't want you to focus on that. Just focus on the shoulder angle down, because I'm seeing even Ryan Braun, he doesn't really angle his shoulders down, but you'll see him really peek that back elbow out. So some of these hitters, they get away with half of it, and half of it is good enough of what I've seen with my hitters too. But let's see if we can get a little less in turn with the hip and the shoulder, and get more of a shoulder angle downward with it. And then next time I see you on Saturday, we can talk a little bit about some of the other stuff. But other than that, man, looks good. Always got some work to do.